So we'll start with the Fast Five. First question, what's your name?
Lauren Jorgensen.
Frank Tobias. Everyone calls me Toby.
And what's your farm's name?
Starlight Farm.
Where are you located?
We are in North Florida, Live Oak, Florida, just east of Tallahassee.
Oh, yes. I have a cousin that lives in Sarasota.
That's about 3.5 hours south of us.
And for football fans, we're about an hour north of the University of Florida in Gainesville.
Yep.
Oh, yes. And what livestock species do you graze?
So we have cattle, chickens, and horses. And sometimes our dogs chew on the grass, but I wouldn't consider them grazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Not full-time grazers,
No.
at least. And what year did you start grazing animals?
Ooh, I started riding when I was 4. I learned to ride on my mother's childhood pony. So off and on, but the two of us together, the last 25 years, we had horses for a long time first, and then cattle about 5 years into it.
We bought this place 20 years ago.
Yeah, so 20 years with the cattle.
Oh, yeah.
Horses before that.
Good. Welcome to the Grazing Grass Podcast, the podcast dedicated to sharing the stories of grass-based livestock producers and exploring regenerative practices that improve the land, animals, and our lives. I'm your host, Gal Hardage, and each week we'll dive into the journeys, challenges, and successes of producers like you, learning from their experiences and inspiring each other to grow and graze better. Whether you're a seasoned grazer or just getting started, this is the place for you. Are you ready to turn market data into your competitive edge? Introducing the newest course from Noble Research Institute, Market Smart Ranching. Learn how to evaluate the true worth of your livestock and assets, break down costs, and time buying and selling decisions like a pro. It's all about making smart, market-driven moves that put you ahead. Join Noble for Market Smart Ranching, October 14th and 15th in McKinney, Texas. Scholarship and grant opportunities are available for those who qualify. Visit noble.org and select Find a Course to learn more about Market Smart Ranching or enroll today, because smart decisions can lead to a stronger ranch. For 10 seconds about the farm, I don't have too much. Dad's cows have been calving and we're winding down on that, or will be. Still got a few more to go. For my cows, I put in a lane. You know, if you jump back to the episode with Blaine Stacy, he talks about having a lane on one side of his land that he just runs the cows to, and he raises a wire. Jaime Elizondo talks about that, having a lane and just raising a wire. When I went to the South Pole Field Day, Nathan Hahn does that. He's got some wire raisers. I think they're Agrotech that he purchased from American Grazing Lands. I don't have one of those, but I thought, I'm going to try this. So I put in a couple lanes, and then I'm just using PVC pipe to let the cows into an area to graze. That's a little bit of a challenge, as the cows are not used to that and are not big fans of walking under that wire. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll let you all know. For 10 seconds about the podcast, we are working on some merch. So if you're interested, be on the lookout. We will discuss it here. I've had a few people asking about merch, so we're going to do a couple of shirts and a couple different hats. And if you'd like to pre-order, we'll have that up on the website soon. Don't go look yet. It's not there yet, but we'll have it up there soon. And we'll shoot for ordering probably around the 1st of November. And with that, let's get back to Lauren and Toby. Yeah. So Lauren, you mentioned riding horses at 4. Did you think when you reach this age, you would have a farm and be doing regenerative practices?
I certainly hope so. When I was little, my great uncle used to take me down to the racetrack to watch the horses breeze. This was down in South Florida in Fort Lauderdale. And
yes.
yeah, we weren't allowed to go to the track because back then it was gambling. You had to be 18. So he would take me down at dawn, and I wanted to be a jockey. And then I'm like 10 years old and I'm already like, I don't know, 5'6" or something. That's ridiculous. And of course, everybody's like, no, you don't want to be a jockey. But I really did want to be a jockey. So I think in my heart of hearts, I always hoped that I would be living the farm life, and it just a little bit of a circuitous route to get to that. But here we are.
Yeah, I always thought about being on a farm, but was not on a path to get to a farm until I met Lauren. That's when our directions started going in that way.
Toby, did you grow up on a farm?
I didn't.
Agriculture exposure?
A lot of my relatives were farmers. My dad took a job in South Florida. My family's all from North Florida, and he took a job in South Florida, temporary. But then, so I was born in South Florida, and they lived out the rest of their days down in Palm Beach County.
So it sounds like for the most part, you all have been lifelong Floridians.
Yes.
Boy, I
yes.
can't even say it. I was going to try and get it out, but
Floridians.
Whoa. That's a word I don't say often.
Born in Florida. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually not relevant. I'm going to chop all that out.
Okay.
I think I can talk English. Floridians.
Yes. Well, we both actually here in Florida, our families both go back several generations. Yes, farmers on both sides. My great grandmother was a farmer in Chattahoochee, Florida, which I think is interesting because that's where the state mental hospital is. So when I tell people in Florida, yeah, my great grandmother was from Chattahoochee, I always say on the outside.
Right. Yeah.
But then his family was just a couple hours
just west of there.
Not even an hour west.
Going back 100 years or more.
Couple hundred years.
Yeah,
really.
a couple hundred years actually. Back before Florida was a state.
Oh, yes. Very impressive.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I've not been to Florida. My brother loves going to Florida. He's probably been down there a few times already this year. Obviously, he's not going for agricultural purposes. He's going because there's an ocean nearby. But
right. And we're nowhere near the ocean.
Toby grew up on the ocean. I spent most of my first 20 years at the beach or boating or fishing, and it got too crowded. When I was a kid, there wasn't anybody on the water. And so So as I grew up, the crowd just kind of pushed me out.
And the dirty water too.
Yeah.
Remember, we grew up in the 70s and 80s, and before pollution controls, the water was getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Imagine. So this is going to be a little funny for anyone who travels very much. I've only been to one ocean or visited the beach just a couple times in Hawaii. So it's like going to a really nice place to get started.
Yeah. Yeah. Start at the top.
Like, where do I go now?
Well, it's funny. I didn't spend much time on the ocean growing up, even though I was in Miami and Fort Lauderdale and then Palm Beach County, which is all South Florida, right on the Atlantic Ocean. But I will tell you, my geography skills all relate to where is the Atlantic Ocean. So when I'm inland somewhere, I get lost. I'm like, where's the ocean? Even though I didn't really go that much, but that's north and south right there. It's on the east,
Yes. Just very prevalent in any topic, any discussion. It's always there. Yeah. 20 years ago, you all bought this farm. What brought you to the point that you're like, let's buy some land?
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things that drew us together was that we both had a dream of having some land that we could have like a farm.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't really thinking about being farmers so much as having a small farm.
I would say now almost being homesteaders.
Homesteaders.
Now, we lived on 5 acres, believe it or not, in West Palm Beach. So I actually worked for 30 years as a federal prosecutor. So, and I would commute to work, but it was only a half an hour. And we lived out in the country. People thought, oh my gosh, you've got 5 acres, it was huge. Yeah. And I always wished I wanted more, and I talked him into it, actually.
Well, then we also leased the 20 acres next to us and ran cows on that 20 acres also.
We did.
Down south.
So ahead of moving here, you all were running cattle at the time.
Little bit, yes, yes, but yeah, for a few years after. It was actually after we bought this farm because we picked up a few cows. That's a long story, but there were some teenagers that were like starting fires on that. It was empty land, and so I called up the owners and I said, "Hey, if you had cattle, your taxes might go down."
Oh yes, yeah.
And so
that's a great move.
Yep.
So that's what we did,
and it worked.
It did.
Yeah, we probably did that for 10 years.
Yeah. So we learned a little bit down there, but we were actually absentee owners of this farm, Starlight Farm, for
15 years.
Yeah,
probably,
almost. 15 years before we moved up here. But we all. I mean, I got my retirement in. I'm not going to mention how many years because I know everyone thinks I'm much younger than I am, so I won't say that. But anyway,
obviously, we're sitting here shocked you're retired. So just
so as soon as I retired. And we could both leave. We saw, and that was actually at the height of COVID. I mean, the height of COVID.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And so
2020.
we closed on our house in November of 2020 and moved up here. And when we first moved here, we were trying to hire a contractor. We could find no one who would build a house for us. So Toby actually built the little barn apartment that we're still in right now.
See, this is our barn apartment.
This is it. It's nice, but it's quite small. But anyway, we lived in our horse trailer living quarters for 3 months. While we built the little apartment, but we had our horses up here and the cows were here. The cows had been here for a while.
Yeah, let's just say it's a weekender horse trailer, so it's good for a weekend.
Oh,
we were there for 3 months.
Not a few months.
3 months got a little old.
I would imagine so, but I have to say, when I see the horse trailers nowadays, they are so nice with those living quarters in them.
Well, they're nice living quarters. It's just very tiny.
But, and I will tell you,
it's not made for long term.
We have an oldie but goodie. We have a 4-horse slant load trailer with a comfortable, but we always joke it has a cathedral ceiling because it was extra tall in the living quarters because the guy who had it made for him was really tall. Yeah. So it's nice, but I will tell you, it's what year is it?
98.
So it's
26, 27 years old.
But it's so well made. I mean, the welds and everything. I mean, Toby is a welder too. So in addition to many other talents, he admires the workmanship of that old, the way it was put together. So we're probably never going to get rid of it.
Oh, yeah. Take care of that thing. That thing will last a long time compared to newer stuff. It seems like, shouldn't go there. But some of the welds and stuff. Yeah, it's like,
Exactly.
So you all got moved up there during COVID and sometime in there, you all decided you had this dream for land. But along that journey, you were introduced to regenerative practices. When did that happen in the scope?
Okay, so our daughter, Catherine, has said she wanted to be an environmental lawyer since she was in 3rd grade. And she left Florida for law school. She went to Tulane undergrad in New Orleans, where we had hoped she would learn to cook. She kind of did. Then she went to law school up at William and Mary in Virginia, and she studied environmental law. That was her emphasis. And she actually ended up writing papers on the law of regenerative farming, believe it or not, including microclimates and pesticides that kill the bees and so forth. So she called us up. And she said, and this was in 2020, I think, or early 21.
Early 21, probably.
And she said,
early.
Mom and Toby, there's this movie called Kiss the Ground. You have to see it. And so we're like, oh, okay, whatever. What's it about? We don't know. And we're running. We had probably 30 cows, roughly. Between 20 and 30 cows. We have 108 acres. So it's about 55 acres of pasture, and the rest is woods. But we had never used any chemical fertilizers or pesticides here, but we really didn't know what soil health was. We'd never even heard that term, right? So, and we would sell our calves into the market, to the auction every year, that kind of thing. So she says, you got to watch this movie. And we're like, yeah, we're busy. And so like a couple of weeks, every time we talk to her, Mom, have you watched the movie? No, we haven't watched the movie. So finally, to shut her up, we watched the movie. And so we watched this movie and we're like, oh my God, we have to change everything. It really was. Really... I know so many people say that, but it was like the shock. It was like it really woke us up.
Oh, yeah. And just speaking about your kids recommending movies, our kids do that to us. Now, to be honest, part of our kids have lost that right. We watch some of the shows they've recommended and like, no more.
Right.
You don't get to recommend for us. Some
we
of
understand.
them still have that right.
Yeah.
Well, Zoolander,
I
would say Kiss the Ground beats Zoolander, which was one of her movie recommendations earlier.
I really liked Zoolander. I think Lauren slept through it.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we watched the movie and then we just start delving into it. I mean, I know this is this is a story so many of your listeners are going to relate to, right? You just like it opens your eyes. And I signed up for the Soil Health Academy. So, I mean, I quit that pretty quick after we watched that movie. I tracked down, I researched who's this guy, Gabe Brown, who's Alan Williams, who are all these guys. And I was lucky enough that when I signed up, it was in Alabama at a farm. And all those guys were there teaching. So I learned from Alan Williams and Gabe and Ray Archuleta and Doug Peterson. And I drank from the fire hose. Toby was home on the farm while I was there by myself. And I came back. And of course, it's like somebody who's more Catholic than the Pope. It's terrible. You just can't stop talking about it.
Right. And you were there with a who's list of people as well. Yeah.
It was amazing.
I picked the wrong thing not to go to for sure.
Right. Now, since then, have you gone to one?
I have, yes. We did another one at White Oak Pastures that was hosted by them. And it was Gabe Brown and Alan Williams and
was Shane new?
Shane
was there.
And it was good. It was really good.
Oh yeah.
We had a blast. And Will Harris has kind of become a friend of ours and a mentor because he lives just a couple hours north of us in Georgia. And of course he's legendary. So we love Will and we learn a lot from him.
Yeah. So I think I can safely say this. You all would recommend, if you get a chance to go to the Soil Health Academy, go.
Oh,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Like on the Facebook groups, whenever somebody's saying, oh, I'm brand new, I don't know what to do. And I'm always plugging Soil Health Academy because, it's 3 really intense days and it's beautiful to meet other people because you're going to meet some people who are a lot smarter and already more accomplished. But then you're going to meet a lot of people who don't know as much, and we're all feeding off each other and learning from each other in addition to learning from the teacher. So it's a great experience.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I agree. Those conferences or those academy like that just really infuses you with that motivation, desire to take those next steps and to go home and do them. And when you all, first, Lauren, you went. When you got home, you had to tell Toby all about it. But how did that reflect in your practices on your farm?
Well, I think we just started really thinking about what can we do. Now, I will tell you, this is where we're going to talk about Florida here. Florida's different. We were an island of sand under the water that rose up, and we are still sand. So, we don't have, like when I came back from Alabama, the Black Belt of Alabama, black, rich soil where Alan Williams actually still manages BDA farm. And so we had to start really trying to figure out what can we do here in Florida to enrich our soil. But one of the first changes I would say that we made was intensive, adaptive multi-paddock grazing. That's one of the very first things we did.
Yep.
So we made all the mistakes and had all the fun, being a couple of clowns out there with all this wire, everywhere.
Oh man. All the times that you think you have the cows, in a circuit and you've left one side down or you forget to hot it up or you make a lot of mistakes in the beginning.
It's not only at the beginning.
And
I will agree. That is true.
Well, it's so funny. We have an ongoing debate. I'm always like, look, I like the leapfrog technique. We lay out our section, we have one paddock, and then the cows are here, and then we have to go set another wire, and then we do the leapfrog. And he's like, oh, no, we'll just move the wire down a little bit. And probably 9 out of every 10 escapes and, problems comes from that not doing the leapfrog.
The leapfrog is probably the best way to do it. But, who plans that far ahead?
And you don't get that adrenaline rush of getting the wire up before the cows beat you over there. It's so much more fun just to try it.
And of course, they want to check the perimeter. So, they're going as far as they can.
They do.
Oh, but it is so much fun. I mean, I think some of the journey is just spending so much time around the cows and also out on our beautiful farm that we never used to really set foot on every acre of our farm. And now we do. And
definitely enjoy the land way more doing this than we did before. And the cows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The cows are so much more friendly and accepting, where before they always looked at us kind of suspicious. And now they're excited when they see us. They want to come over and
they're waiting and watching. It's really fun.
Yeah. It just, your behavior of cattle. I was watching a little bit of TikTok earlier, and I don't want to admit it, but I was. And it was basically, it was some people trying to tag a calf, and these cows are just crazy. And I'm like, I am just so glad my cows are so calm. Of course, when you're out there moving them, it just makes a world of difference they are seeing you every day. They associate you with new grass. It just makes everything so much calmer.
Exactly.
Definitely. And of course, I think it's a lot calmer now with summer high, in high cotton and high grass right now. So the cows, they've still got so much to eat. In the winter when it's bale grazing, and we did a lot. That's another, you asked about what are the things we did. That's another big thing we did was we had never rolled out a bale of hay in our lives. It would always be in a big ring, a hay ring. And everybody knows what that looks like when you're done. So, we just started unrolling the hay. Oh, this is funny. If you look at our farm from the sky on Google Maps, you see it looks like hieroglyphics. Where in the winter where all the hay was rolled out, and I was like, we should spell something one year. We should just spell out something with our hay.
Eat beef or something.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Regen is the way. I don't know.
Regen is the way. There we go.
Yeah. Yep. That's a lot of bales.
Yeah. And so we did that. We did the mid grazing. I will tell you something. Here's a failure, major failure. Cover crops. And believe me, we believe in cover crops, but we are on our sandy soil. And I'll tell you, Gabe Brown, in my first Soil Health Academy, after about the first day, when I raised my hand and I said, well, you guys are saying this works everywhere. It works in the Chihuahua Desert. It works everywhere. I have a farm in North Florida, and I kid you not, Gabe looks at me and he goes, yeah, that's going to be tough. We literally did. And of course,
Yeah, the problem we have is we get so much rain. We get 50 inches a year, or maybe more. And so it just leaches everything out of it and just leaves that sand behind.
And, we're starting, and actually the next Soil Health Academy, we had done our Haney tests. And so we knew our soil organic matter was about 1.4%. And I think that's fairly average for our pasture. And we told them that, and I was embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to say. And they're like, oh, Lauren, that's actually pretty good for Florida. So, hey, we can only go up from here. But, obviously just we have seen with the grazing that we're doing, we're seeing an improvement. But one thing is, and we always tell folks who are just getting started, I know you're going to ask about that later, is it just takes time. It is not flipping a light switch and you go one day to the next and all of a sudden you have these great pastures. So it does take time, but we're seeing the improvement. It's steady, but it's just slow. It's now we're 4.5 years, about four and a half years into it. And this is the best grass we've ever had. So I can say that. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And the land didn't get to the point it was at 4.5 years ago in just a few years.
No.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's a lot of practices over decades, over centuries even.
Yep.
Well, this land supposedly 50, 60 years ago was planted pine that was cut over. And then then it was row cropped for a little bit. And then the guy that had it before us had some hogs and cattle and grew watermelon. So that's its history prior to 20 years ago when we got it. Since we've owned it, it's had nothing but cattle, across the whole thing. And for years they had the whole thing. We didn't even rotate them. We just had them selective graze everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, we had the front pasture. They spent more time. And of course that grass was a little better. Now that we have the horses on it, cows are better than horses, but I'm sure everybody out there in radio land knows that horses do not improve the pasture as fast or as well as cows do, but they don't have a rumen.
We talked to Hobbs just the other day on the podcast, and in his book, Herd, I had to think of the name of the book, and Herd, he talks about those hind gut fermenters are really beneficial when you get old or mature plants with low protein. That's where they really excel. But that's not often where we put them, though.
Right.
Yeah.
With talking about your soil health, talking about your location, let's dive a little bit more into your location. You're in Florida. How far are you from the ocean?
We're closer to the Gulf side, so we're actually only less than an hour. Probably 50 miles, maybe? I think.
Yeah, it's probably 50, 60 miles, but it takes a little over an hour driving, probably an hour and 20 minutes to drive there.
Yeah. Right. So we're close to the Gulf, that close to the Gulf. The Atlantic side is
Jacksonville, and it'd probably take us 2 hours to get to the beach on the Jacksonville Beach. Probably take 2 hours from here.
But we're very north. So Valdosta, Georgia, which is in southern Georgia, is actually one of the closer cities to us. It's about 45 minutes. We're only about 40 miles south of the Florida-Georgia line.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Not too far there. You mentioned you have about half and half, grazing acres and wooded acres.
Yes, sir.
When you look at your grazing, what kind of species are you grazing there?
Mostly Bahia. Bahia, perennial Bahia grass, which is what the prevalent, it's, I hate to say it, it's like a monoculture. It's the official, I think it's called the state monoculture of Florida is Bahia grass, it's like, hello. And of course, Bahia grass was developed to choke out everything else. It only really performs for like maybe at best 5 months out of the year, where it's feeding our cows from, if we're lucky and we get rain in May, it kicks in. In June, it starts to get, good. In July, it really peaks in August. And if we're lucky, it will
still be grazable in November if we're lucky.
So
but as soon as we have a frost, it's done.
So we don't, we do have other species. And let me tell you, since we started doing what we're doing, I love to go out with my plant ID app and just ID different, grasses. We have crabgrass a little bit. We have definitely some native wildflower type, and we've tried with some success to do cover crops. I'm going to keep trying. I think that as our organic matter increases, we know we can grow them when we have a little better organic matter. So that's what we're doing. Like Toby mentioned the hog pen. When you talk about the hog pen, how did things grow there?
Right. We had the previous owner had an area. It's probably about 1.5 acres where he had hogs all the time. And so that grass is thick and beautiful all the time. It's the first to come in. We can graze it. And 2-3 weeks later, we could put the cows back in there again. But it's only a couple of acres. If we're finishing a cow, a lot of times we'll put them in there for a bit, because 1 cow, 2 cows in there, they can graze it for probably a month because it's growing so fast. So we can finish them there. But
that's our best.
That's our
best performing land. So we've got, and then we have other pasture up on the north side of, or I guess it's the south side of our 108 acres that we call the Badlands. Because the sand literally just comes right to the top. You think you're on the beach.
Oh, yeah. You do. And it is so sparse. It's so thin what's growing there. And I don't want to say weeds, but less desirable things. The cows don't want to graze it. What we typically do there is we put them there in the winter when we're bale grazing. So we're just putting, because they don't want to eat what's there.
And it's very slow. I think initially, this is another thing they teach, and it's not just the Soil Health Academy, but they really did hammer it. They said to new people, don't start with your worst land. And I think that is so true. We know now, we take our best, we call it section 1. We have 5 sections and about a 35 acre. And probably 80 to 90% of our grazing is done right in that 35 acres. And the first section where the trees are that the cows love to be under, we have big live oaks, giant.
And is right next to the hog pen. They're right next to each other. That section 1 has filled in the best, the fastest. It looks.
Oh, yeah.
And our cover crops do better there too. So I think that, what I'm going to do this fall is plant a smaller area, not try to just cover too much acreage with cover crops. Do a smaller area where I know I will succeed, we will succeed, and then allow it to spread out from there. And I think that's a great way to go. That Badlands is probably like a 5 years from now, we might reach that,
It's going to take more time, more work, more bell grazing to get there.
Right.
Yeah. On your cover crops, what are you planting? And are you just broadcasting it, or are you using a no-till drill?
Why don't you talk?
Well, you tell them what it is.
Okay, we do a cocktail mix. We always do a cocktail mix, and we do love, of course, green cover and how they give you ideas on even if you don't buy from them. So we try to mix it up. We've done cereal rye in the winter. What else? Clover, different types of clovers, some winter pea. I mean, we really do try to mix it up. We try to hit the forbs, the grasses, and the broadleaves and everything. But I think we just have to be patient. That is, I'm a big believer in cover crops. I know they will do well. One other thing, we'll come back to this though, is adding some fertility from cow manure and chicken litter from outside, and I think that is what's going to really help us jumpstart into being more successful with our cover crops. But
sure,
but we do have a little cedar.
We do, but one more thing on the chicken manure, we had a place give us a little bit, and we spread it out to see what it would do, and that area is just fabulous. And the cows, when we turn them out in that area, they eat that down to the ground instantly, and then a week later, it's come back already. So that's one of the things we have to do, but it's a big expense.
And the other thing is the cow manure. We have a couple friends, one who owns chicken houses and one that is a dairy farmer, and we've gotten some
compost from him also.
Right, we've gotten some dump trailer loads of this. The cow manure came with free coastal hay seed, so now we have a little coastal plot. But it was funny.
But it doesn't grow beyond that pile of compost.
We invited Will Harris to come down. This is another side thing, but I'm on the executive board for Sierra Club of Florida. And so the only reason I really wanted to be on the board was to talk about regenerative farming. And it's amazing conservation community. They're so environmentally, attuned, but they don't know anything about how agriculture can overlap with the conservation, right? Our practices are literally conservation practices. So I thought, well, why don't we invite Will to come down to the statewide meeting for Sierra Club, and maybe we'll open some eyes. Because, I mean, listen, I'm no expert. We're just a couple of small farmers. We're just passionate. That's more than anything. So we invited Will to come down, and it was so fabulous. We had a statewide meeting of Sierra Club people from all over the state. And he was sitting there like a fireside chat and just telling stories about how he went from purely conventional and his granddaddy and father and everything to being regenerative, and why and how it worked and everything. And we opened so many eyes. But then afterwards, I wanted to say, I told him, I said, we have a source for cow manure that we could bring in. And we're wondering if we should do that. And he just stopped and he looked at Toby and he's like, go get the cow manure.
Yeah, we can't give you the exact quote.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. It's like, why haven't you gone and get it? I mean, I think, and this is, I think, an important thing, that sometimes we want to be such purists. We want everything to be perfect. We don't want to give our cattle any dewormers. That's another thing we ended up having to do. And I was in tears. I called as another mentor of ours, Shane New. I called him up and I'm like crying. I'm like, our cows are really hurting. We had a stray cow jump into our pasture, and honestly, we had not had to use dewormers for 10 years. But I think something was brought in. I don't know. And he said, Lauren,
a couple of weeks after she was here, our cows really started to decline.
Yeah. So he said, Lauren, you're not, you don't need to be a purist. You got to keep your cows healthy. Do what needs to be done, And so I think it was the same thing with the cow manure. We're trying to do everything and be so pure. But I think we all have to recognize the context, right? What is our context?
We do. Yes.
And you got to do what you got to do. And so that's now I think we're doing better now that we recognize that, and we don't beat ourselves up so much.
Yeah. There's tools out there that will help us solve things. And even if we're on the path that we don't want to use any of that, at times we may need to.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Just to help us progress. Going back to the manure bit, we put in broiler houses, and it's amazing. In the 90s, we put those in, started spreading chicken litter on our land. It's amazing. Chicken manure will make rocks grow grass.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It turned 80 acres here it'd been mined and reclaimed, but it's before they had to put the topsoil back on the top. So the subsoil was on the top, and it was just rocky clay. It wouldn't grow anything. In fact, when Dad bought this place in the mid 80s, we went out in the middle of a bare spot and decided that would be our hay pen where we put all of our round hay. It was just that expansive. You can't even find a spot to store any hay now.
Wow.
Because that chicken litter, I want to say pasture management did it, but really the chicken litter got us a long ways that pasture management wouldn't have got us.
How many were in your houses, or did you have more than one? It was like a Salatin
we had
style
4
thing?
houses, and they were big houses at the time, but by the time we got out, they were small houses. They were 40 by 400 feet, and they usually held about 20 to 22,000 birds in each house.
Oh my! I can't even imagine. We free range our chickens now, and we're at like 25, and I'm like, no, that's too many.
We put it in, we were dairying at the time, we put in the broiler houses as another income stream.
Sure.
We were trying to figure out how to get 2 families to live off this place. And while it worked for that and provide us an income stream, it did not faith in the agricultural industry for me, because I just go in there and I'm like, this is not what I like at all.
Sure.
But there was some positives of it.
Well, your soil health is a positive. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's almost worth doing it for that.
The chicken manure, it almost is. That chicken manure is wonderful. And now we store hay in those old chicken houses. So actually, I love that use better than any of the others, because we put hay in there. We don't have to worry about losses on it. When we pull it out, it's going to be dry. We're going to have very little loss. We will have some dust if it's a few years old, but it works great for that. And I'd much rather go into those houses with 100 round bells. I say 400 round bells in the house, rather than going in there with 20,000 chickens.
Right.
It's a lot more fun.
I understand that.
We do understand that. We just process
But that outside manure makes a big difference. And depending on where you're located, you may be able to source chicken manure or manure from a dairy farm somewhere to bring into your farm. And it's like bringing your hay in. You're bringing
that's what we have been doing, because we do know these 2 farmers. We just haven't done enough. And then the other thing, which we haven't even mentioned, is we're in the middle of building a house, our farmhouse. We're finally building it after living here for 4.5 years. So that has become, the big rock that we're focused on right now. But we're definitely going to get back to that.
That's put a bit of a stop on collecting some of this, this compost that I was getting before the house. So,
well, there's only so many things you can do.
There is.
And when do you expect to have the house finished?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to celebrate Thanksgiving. And
very good. Very exciting.
I was going to say the building inspector said he thinks that's possible. So we have the wiring going in, and then the plumbing, the rough wiring and plumbing. The walls are all up, and the roof is actually, it's sealed in. The metal roof is going on probably Monday.
Monday or Tuesday.
So we're getting close.
Oh yeah.
And Toby's doing a lot of hands-on though.
Yeah,
he is really.
My son and I were putting the windows in the last few days. But it's probably going to take a week to get all the windows in. Mm-hmm. But it's a small house, so it goes quicker. We're not building a great big house that. So the square feet add up quick, and so that's part of why we didn't want a big house. We're doing a lot ourselves. We're the owner builder, so it's a work in progress. But we've had a great time. It's been fun. It hasn't been. I would say it has not been terribly stressful. Really, no,
I don't think so.
I wanted to get back to the seed drill stuff.
Oh, that's right.
The seed drill. We put, because it was important on how we did this, because we broadcast it the first time and nothing germinated. And so Lauren says, well, we need a seed drill. I don't know if you know how much seed drills cost. They're pretty, they're outrageous.
I see the prices. I want one really bad, but then I see the prices and I just tuck my tail and leave.
We saw one that was advertised, but it was made in another country, let's say. We'll just call it country China so we have the reference.
So we have one. Yeah, I think that's good.
And so we went and looked at it, and it was just, it wasn't going to hold up. It was just terrible. And and so
I'll throw out a word that you use, garbage, just like it was just a random word that he threw out. Like, drove a trailer to the store and everything, and we're like, no, not.
So we found that there was a small, I guess that small. I mean, it's a pretty good sized manufacturing company, and I want to say it's in Macon, Georgia.
Edmond, Georgia,
and they make a product that's a deer plot seeder called the Ferminator.
Ferminator.
Oh, okay. And so I drove there and purchased one that was supposed to be small enough to fit on the back of Lauren's little tractor, because that was the only tractor we had at the time that would be comfortable enough to be spending time with a seeder.
Oh, yeah.
The only problem was it's too big for her tractor. So it was really struggling to run this. And it's only 4 feet wide. But
it really digs in.
It has coulters, it cuts a path, and then it drops the seed kind of in a broadcast way. And so I modified it so that it drops right into the coulter. So it's not a precision drill, but it works kind of like that. And it was a third the cost of a seed drill.
Oh, yes.
So, and it's worked good. But we still didn't we got better germination, but we still weren't getting the germination that we expected.
And I love just getting out and driving with my music on. So, I mean, this little tiny 4 foot wide, on my little 25 horse tractor, but now we have a bigger tractor. So I love driving that one too. And I don't mind just running up and down, up and down, up and down. So And like I said, the cover crops, some of them are doing well, but I know that we can do better, but we get a little better every year. So that's what we're looking for, improvement.
Yeah. Now on your precipitation, is it throughout the year? Do you have times that you get tons?
It's, climate change, global warming. What we have is climate whiplash. So we go from extreme drought to extreme, torrential rain. We actually lived through 4 hurricanes over the past 2 years. So in 2023, we had Hurricane Idalia in late August, and it was a pretty good hurricane. And then, and it's so funny, we moved up from the Miami, West Palm Beach area where we used to get, terrible hurricanes. We thought, we're leaving all that behind. Live Oak, Florida hadn't had a hurricane for 75 years until we got here. Everybody says we brought the hurricanes.
Sounds like you did.
Yeah. Last year we had Debbie. Debbie dropped 13 inches of rain in how long?
More than 13. I had a 14-inch bucket that was full to the top. So somewhere more than 14 inches is what we got.
Wow.
Even the official estimate was 13 to 14 for this area. That was in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, it was like 6-8 hours.
Yeah. I mean, it was a hurricane. So it didn't have a lot of wind. It did have wind, but it didn't, we did fine. And actually think about infiltration. We had low spots. We have a very gentle roll on our property. The low spots, one of them looked like the Swanee River, though. It was like the water was really rushing, but we knew where that was and where our barn is and where a lot of it is just high and dry. So we didn't suffer from that. But then the second hurricane was Helene. Helene came ashore like 50 miles from us as a Category 3. And it was still close to a Category 3, maybe mid 2 when it hit us and came very close to us. It didn't go straight over us, but it was very, very close to us. That was frightening. It was in the middle of the night and the wind was much stronger than the first one. And I had been in Miami for Hurricane Andrew, which, in the beginning, they thought it was a Category 4. It got upgraded to a Category 5. Andrew had winds of up to 200 miles an hour. And this one reminded me of that because of the terror of it being completely dark. Very little rain, but the wind, it was, what did you think, Toby?
Yeah. And we're in a pole barn that's rated to 110 mile an hour winds. And I'm thinking, I hope I reinforced it better, because I upgraded a little bit of the bracing to try to make it, handle a higher wind. And we did fine, but I will tell you, it was creaking and moving.
We lost a lot of trees.
We lost a lot of trees.
Hundreds of big, giant oak trees, and just, a lot. I mean, we probably have about 12 species of oak trees here. Of course, live oak is one of our big ones. We had a giant branch off of a tree, basically split right behind our barn and came crashing down, scared the living daylights out of our horses. Our horses went running around, and they could come and go from the barn. We didn't keep them in the barn because I'll tell you, a lot of horses get hurt more being cooped up for a hurricane than being out, where they can just
because they don't have enough room.
Well, I mean, they can just panic. I mean, we knew one horse that panicked and tried to jump out of his stall, and it just ripped open his whole shoulder. So, our horses can always come and go in and out when they want to. So they just choose, and everybody was fine. Even the chickens, all the chickens were fine. They survived. The cows were fine. We had actually piled up.
All the animals were fine. We had no problems with the animals at all.
We backed trailers in our pasture to give a windbreak for the cows to get behind, so.
Yeah, that was Lauren's idea, and it worked really well. We just stacked up a bunch of box trailers, and the horses or the cows just huddled behind that. The winds were 100 miles an hour or maybe a little higher at certain points, but the cows just hid behind those trailers. They worked great.
So anyway, Florida, hurricanes are fact of life.
But back to your question. So we were pretty dry, and right now, the last couple of weeks, we're getting an inch or two of rain a day for the last couple of weeks. And we're trying to build this house, and we're at a stage where we don't want anything to get wet. We've been dry for a while and nothing's moving, and finally get to where we don't want things getting wet, and it's raining 2 inches every day.
Right. That's the way it works. Yeah. So when are you all wanting to plant something, or when do you typically plant?
We will be planting in... That's a tension, planting timing is so critical. We know that from our farmer friends who are row croppers too, because, the Bahia grass dies back in November, but while it's still really flush and growing, it is very hard. It's very competitive. So it's hard to get cover crops to grow into that, and we don't do anything. We don't till at all or anything to prepare the soil because it's covered in Bahia. So we will probably wait until November. But then it's important to get those little things in early enough before the first freeze that they are a nice, stout little plant, right? So I think it's the same tension that you guys probably have all over the place, right?
Yeah. I suspect it's mainly the same, maybe a little difference in that you have some of those fall rains coming in, and our falls are kind of hit and miss. And I say that today, this episode's going to air later in the fall, but we're in August recording this, and we had almost 4 inches of rain today.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's not a typical August rain for us. Mm-hmm. And I plan on getting some stuff planted pretty shortly now.
Wow.
Because I've got wet ground.
And you can plant right into what your grass species is?
Yeah, I'm just going to broadcast it and run some cattle over it. And it's area we baled earlier in the year with a lot of Cerisa lespedeza on it, and that really shades it out. So I do not have it's got ground cover on it, but it's not a good ground cover. So actually there won't be a lot of competition for it. So I think it'll work out pretty good as long as I get moisture, and I got some moisture today.
Well, I will tell you, that is one of our goals, is to try to get to where we can grow, cool season grasses and forbs and have a cocktail mix and not buy so much hay, because right now we're bringing in hay.
Right.
That is our struggle.
Yeah. At Redmond, we know that you thrive when your animals do. That's why it's essential to fill the gaps in your herd's nutrition with the minerals that they need. Made by nature, our ancient mineral salt and conditioner clay are the catalyst in optimizing the nutrients your animals get from their forage. Unaltered and unrefined, our minerals have the natural balance and proportion that your animals prefer. This gives your herd the ability to naturally regulate their mineral consumption as they graze. Our minerals won't just help you improve the health of your animals, but will also help you naturally build soil fertility so you can grow more nutrient-dense pasture year after year. Nourish your animals, your soil, and your life with Redmond. Learn more at redmondagriculture.com. Before we switch gears just a little bit, we've talked about a few things. We've talked about some struggles. We've talked about some wins. What would you say has been the biggest success overall?
Well, I think with the grazing, because this is a grazing grass podcast, with the grazing,
yes.
I have to say, I think just the steady improvement of our pastures. I really believe that. And I have to say, we love doing this. I mean, we really, we haven't even mentioned this. Toby has an English saddle business that we have together. We work on together. And so he goes out and sees people who ride and at a very high level, high performance jumpers and dressage riders. And so he's wanting to dial that back up and trying to get him. His son has taken over the business, a lot of it. And I've been trying to get him to, spend more time at home and not be running out selling saddles and fitting saddles. But he's now excited to spend more time on the farm.
It's hard to leave the farm. It really is.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. And our favorite thing in the whole world is to jump on our golf cart. We don't do four-wheelers. We have an electric golf cart. And we chase the cows around and put up fences off of that. And it's to just go out in the evening, with a wine spritzer and just sit there and just listen to them crunch the grass and just the happiness.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I have to say this also, because I know you're going to ask about who some of our influences are, but I have to mention Jonathan Lundgren. You got to get him on your podcast.
Oh, okay.
He is amazing. And we actually got to talk with him a couple of weeks ago with regard to our Florida Soil Health Coalition that we're doing here to gather other farmers who want to kind of move in this direction, more regenerative direction.
Oh, yeah.
And he talks about what Jonathan has done. He has a foundation called Ecdysis Foundation. It's the website is Ecdysis, ECDYSIS.bio. And what that means is the shedding of skin of an insect to transform, right? He's conducting what is called the 1,000 Farms Study. Heck, Cal, have you heard of his study?
I have not.
Oh,
I'm very fascinated.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
He is brilliant.
He is amazing because Jonathan is got a team. First of all, he was a biologist for many years. We'll let him tell his story when he comes on your podcast. And by the way, I'll let him know he has to come on. And he's out there a lot too, so you can hear him all over the place. But anyway, he decided as a biologist, he couldn't just keep doing science, reductive science all the time. So he actually bought a farm. He calls it Blue Dasher Farm, which is named after a dragonfly. And he's raising sheep. They're growing crops. And he goes out and he visits farms. And he called it 1,000 farms a year he wanted. He's way beyond that now. I mean, he's up to like 1,500 farms that he's visited. And he takes soil samples. He talks to them. What are they growing? They're comparing them to conventional farms. Did you want to say something?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say that what his position is that he's a scientist. He is not a farming expert. He needs to document the experts, the farmers that are succeeding and how they succeed, and document that and figure out the science of what they're doing. He said that they need that the farmers are the teachers. And he's just there to learn. Yeah.
And believe it or not, I'm still answering your question about what's our biggest success. Because what Jonathan says is
that's true.
When he goes on a regenerative farm, he said within minutes, he knows there's life on the farm. He said, don't worry about all the details. Don't worry about sequestering more carbon. Is there life on your farm? And I honestly think about that every single day.
I think about that every day also.
Is there life on our farm? There are dragonflies. There are positive, beautiful insects that are working together. There are more birds than we've ever had. And we've got deer. We used to have a hunter come and we leased our woods to the deer hunter. and he would drop corn and feed the deer. And guess what? When we moved up here, we said, yeah, we don't really need a hunter on our property anymore. Maybe we'll someday hunt. But guess what? We have more deer on our property than we ever did when they were feeding them corn.
Oh, yes.
We have so much
wild
life.
Turkey. We got so much wild turkey. There's a flock of toms that has just moved in. I see them every night. They come out of the woods and they go out and they hang with the cows for a little bit, and then
it's like a little bachelor party of tom turkeys.
And they're huge. I can't believe how big they are. They're the biggest.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And turkeys around here don't usually seem that big, but these guys are huge.
And so before I really hope you'll interview Jonathan Lundgren, but I will say I want to make the pitch for him. He's doing this study and he's not charging the farmers anything because they've raised all this money. He has fundraised through his foundation. Yes. So the 1,000 Farms Initiative is now going all over the place. And I'll tell you what really got our attention is he's been in Florida. I don't know if you know this, but the citrus farmers, we have lost our orange crops from industrial farming. I mean, 96% of our orange trees are now gone. They're dead. We have a tiny fraction. What he is doing is working with those farmers and they're bringing back oranges to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Through regenerative farming.
Cool.
So it's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah. So that's the thing. I think probably our biggest success is just there's so much more life on our farm. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And I like that. Just bring that in. And as we think about, you mentioned going out there, it's just enjoyable. Going out there and there's nothing around you, no life around you, it's not very enjoyable.
I tell you, we're surrounded by row croppers and very conventional, heavy tillage, a lot of chemicals. And yeah, I can't even imagine can you imagine being in the center of that 160 acres where the pivot is? Oh. And they have a pivot. We have 50 inches of rain a year and they have a pivot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, there's not a lot of life there. There's certainly no topsoil left. It's all gone. They have to use the chemicals, and we're actually trying to talk with farmers to try to, gently nudge them in a more regenerative direction.
Yeah, along that subject, with the Florida Soil Health Coalition, tell us what's going on there. And did you play a role in getting that started?
It's very exciting. And actually, you could say I am the founder. I mean, I tried to find a group that was bringing together farmers, both regenerative and conventional, of all kinds, grazers, row croppers, and researchers on the ag side. Here in our land grant universities, we have University of Florida, and we have Florida A&M University, FAMU in Tallahassee.
Oh, yeah.
And bringing those folks together, but also bringing some consumers together to raise awareness and support our smaller local farmers at the green markets, right? And
oh, yeah.
Just the whole raising of awareness. And it goes back a little bit to the whole Sierra Club thing. It's like, a lot of folks who really believe in our wild spaces and conservation, and they don't realize how much overlap there is with agriculture. So we're bringing together the conservation folks and the farmers. We have a ton of small farmers here. Not enough. I think that's part of what we need more of is just, I call them homesteaders plus, farmers who maybe start off with a small farm thinking they're going to homestead, and now they start growing and share and selling their food in the community. I mean, that's what we do. We sell our beef by the half share or the quarter share, a small number right now. But, as we rebuild our soil, that is our goal, is to continue to grow again. We actually shrunk our herd down to focus more on developing our soil.
One of our mistakes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I go back and forth.
Everyone's mistakes.
We just, when we learned how cows help the soil and we needed animal impact, we got more cows. And then we had too many cows. So then we had to shrink back down. And now we're actually way smaller than we need to be to give the land some rest.
Yeah, right now we have more grass than we need. But anyway, I've reached out. I've networked with a lot of other states. North Carolina has a soil health coalition. Oh, so many states. Minnesota, South Dakota's got a really active one. Actually, I'm pointing to you like you're there, but Jonathan Lundgren is from South Dakota. And it's so funny to me how couldn't be more different than Florida. And yet all of these coalitions, each in their own states, they're helping bring together farmers for networking, for doing some mentoring, farmer to farmer. I mean, that is how we will grow this movement, is little by little, showing by example, but also learning from each other. And we're just loving it. It's been fantastic. And we're getting a really, really positive response. And I have Jonathan has agreed to do a webinar for us. And Alan Williams has agreed to do a webinar, and he's agreed to help us with the coalition as well, and the Soil Health Academy. So we have a lot of folks that are helping guide us in that journey. Florida, let's just say Florida is not as far down the regenerative path as some other states are. Let's put it that way. We have 10 million acres in agriculture in Florida, and about half of that is row crops that are very, very heavy industrial farming, heavy tillage and chemicals. So that's what we're doing. And Toby and I are working together on that with a bunch of local farmers and others in Florida. And it's pretty exciting.
So can you describe to us what some of the events that you're going on that will be happening? You mentioned webinars. So are they available on the website? How does a person get involved?
Yeah, our website and the daughter I told you about who pushed us to watch the movie Kiss the Ground, she helped us set up the website. So the website is just floridasoilhealth.org. Right now, we're still organizing. We're very new. I mean, we just started, right? So we're going to, in October, we're going to do our first webinar, and we're going to try to do a monthly webinar. And then we're going to also bring in some farmers, some of the researchers. I mean, we are actually going to be hosting the Southeast Cover Crop Council is having their annual meeting in Gainesville, Florida. So we're going to help. We're working together with the organizers for that. And I think we'll meet and network with a lot of folks there. But the other things we want to do are field days. We want to do field days at farms, right? And our local extension office does a soil health day, like a field day at their research farm every year. So we're going to be working with them. I actually have just joined a fairly new group here in Florida called the Florida Women Landowners Association. And that's really interesting too. So, networking with other women landowners and women farmers who are also very excited. That's the beauty of what we're doing, I think, is that so many people have never even thought about this, how to get away from chemicals and industrial model of farming and CAFOs. And when they finally realize, wow, that is a good idea, maybe we should put some thought into this. It's a beautiful thing to watch that light bulb go off, I think.
Now, I'm trying to think who I had this conversation with the other day. But I had a conversation about, is regenerative growing? Is there potential for it? But I look out and I see so many people who's not heard about it. When we think about podcasts, I think there's rooms for tons of people because we're not getting the word out to enough people yet. Podcasts work for some people. YouTube works for some people. Some people, the pasture walks or a field day on a farm makes a difference. Because it's not just one thing that's going to make someone say, oh, that's what I need to do. You all had a nice event with the Kiss the Ground that really caused you to say, oh, we need to do some things. But some people like me that's a little slower, we got to go to multiple things to get that going.
Oh, I don't know about that. But you're absolutely right. And something that's why with our Florida Soil Health Coalition, we are bringing in conservation-minded people and just raising awareness with consumers. Oh. I think if everybody just spreads the word little by little, and Gabe Brown, by the way, is one of the ones who says, this revolution, so to speak, is not going to happen at the top. It's going to happen from the grassroots where people are seeking out better food that tastes like something, that tastes better, that has more nutrient, density, right? And I really believe that. And so we are welcoming, that is one thing we're doing a little differently from a lot of the other states' soil health coalitions. It's not completely just farmers and researchers. It's actually just, also consumers who want to be supportive. And I think the whole message is know your farmer. We need more. It's another thing Jonathan Lundgren talks about. You know what we need? We don't need bigger farms. What we need is a lot more smaller farms that feed their communities. And that's what Will Harris talks about too. It's not my job to feed the world. I think it's my job to feed my community. And so that's what we're all working together to do.
Yeah, and I think that's excellent. We have Florida listeners. So for those listeners in Florida, how do they get in touch? How do they participate?
Just go to the website, floridasoilhealth.org, and then you can click on, it'll be a pop-up, sign up for our newsletter. And the newsletter, we just sent our first one a couple weeks ago. We're about to have another one tomorrow, actually, because we're gonna have a meeting, a Zoom meeting with all of anybody who wants to chime in on September 2nd. And so you will already have this podcast will have already shown, but we're going to continue to have regular meetings. So I think the best thing is just to go to that website. Our little farm, Starlight Farm, we're on Facebook, and we do have a Facebook page for the coalition as well. Yeah. So everybody who's interested and supportive is welcome.
Oh, very good. Is there anything about the Florida soil health that I didn't cover that you would like to cover?
I think that's about it. I mean, we're starting in North Florida just because that's where we are, and we have a lot of contacts here. We're networking. We have some beautiful regenerative farms that are like way farther down the journey that we can show people, and that we're hoping to have some field days at some of those farms, and some organic and regenerative, and sometimes both. But there are a lot of farms in North Florida that we are really interested to showcase and to network among, each other to get better ideas.
Oh, excellent. Lauren, you mentioned that and it popped into my brain. I believe you're my first guest from Florida. I don't believe I've had anyone else from Florida on the podcast.
I hope it's the first of many to come.
Yes.
That means we're doing our job.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, exactly.
We will definitely try to feed you some other farmers to have on. There are plenty of us here.
Perfect, because I like to tell people podcasting isn't about getting a podcast out. It's about finding guests for a podcast.
There you go. I know. And I do feel, I think we both feel a little underqualified to be here. The one thing that we're pros at is enthusiasm.
and we have been doing it.
Right.
And so we have the startup experience, and we have the few years of trying to get down the road and figure out what's working, what's not.
I think you guys are wonderful. And I mentioned this on the podcast, we want people in all stages of their journey on here, because sometimes when you've been doing it for a few years, you may get a little jaded. That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And you forget stuff. Not that you don't need to know it, or I don't know how to put this. I'm trying to think the correct wording I want to, but as you're going down, sometimes you forget some of those early struggles. And we want people to know there are pain points. This isn't, like you said earlier, you don't just doing this and the day after tomorrow, everything is better. It takes time.
Yeah. Can I tell you one thing that happened that I thought that I think is funny? Now I will tell you, it's probably not going to be as funny to you all, but my ass. This is what happened.
Yeah.
We're out trying to move. And this is, by the way, when we had our prize bull. We have South Pole cattle. We're trying to move away from Angus and into more South Pole. We have babies now from our bull. We actually ended up selling him back to the place we got him from, because we were like, he's just so much bull. Oh my goodness. But anyway, we have a smaller bull. It's not quite as, anyway. So Toby and I are out in our section, and we're trying to move the line. And remember I talked about how we weren't doing a leapfrog.
I was going to say, I'm sure I said, let's just carry the line down.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure I did.
I'm sure.
And somehow, and then the other thing is, what helps us to have your headphones on so you can talk to each other. Because if somebody's like 5 acres away and you can't hear each other. So we're trying to move this line, and I don't know how this happened, but he looks at me, and I have a fence post, and I'm just walking with this poly wire, and I think, yeah,
Yeah, well, she was loosening it. Everything's coming down because she's taking this tension out. And
I thought, why is he telling me to keep going? I think I'm there. And I look over at him, and I swear to you, he was going, go long, like a quarterback, go long,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm running with this post, and I'm looking back, and he keeps saying, go long. And so I'm like, and the next thing I know, all of his wire has fallen to the ground. The bull is now stepping over it. You're kidding? It was
of course,
crazy.
He wants to check out the cows in the pasture next to us, our neighbor's cows. Yeah. And of course, our neighbor has a bull also, and they don't really like each other a whole lot.
Obviously.
So we have multiple lines of poly wire before they get to the hard fence. But all of that's come down, and now the bull's like, hey, I can go where I
freedom.
No.
But the funniest thing was, I finally realized maybe I should stop.
I was yelling stop. I wasn't yelling go long. I don't. I'm waving my arms like this to get her attention because she's just running,
And so we finally get together, and we're both laughing so hard. We're like rolling on the ground, laughing at the whole thing. But it was truly the most classic miscommunication that we've ever had, I think.
And I dropped the wire we had. I grabbed another reel that was close by that was hooked. Excuse me. And I started running. And now I've got like 200 feet I'm trying to keep taut so the bull won't go any further.
Oh, yeah.
But I had to run. I had to run several hundred yards to get around this bull. And
he trying to catch up to me. I was like in the next county practically. But anyway, it was funny. We've had a few of those, but that was definitely the funniest one. I laughed so hard, I busted a gut. It was very cathartic to laugh that hard, though.
It was.
Well, at least, those things happen. At least you all were able to laugh about it.
Yes,
It wasn't someone getting mad. Those things happen. Everything's going to be okay.
When he heard from me, because he's like, why were you doing it? I was like, you were telling me to go. It was crazy. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, we got them all back in,
This was probably a year ago. We're still laughing about it.
Yeah, we are. We are. I cry tears every time I think about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, very good. Let's go ahead and switch gears into our famous 4 questions. Same 4 questions we ask of all of our guests. Our first question, what is your favorite grazing grass related book or resource?
I would have to say Will Harris's Bold Return to Giving a Damn. I listened to that book a couple of times because I was driving with the saddle business, and I can just, and it was just awesome. I loved it. I also loved Gabe Brown reading his book, Dirt to Soil. Those were 2 of my favorites.
And Toby, I'm going to accuse you of saying that just because I just said earlier before we got started, I hadn't read that yet.
It is fun, though. If you listen to books on tape, it's fun to hear the author reading it, too.
Oh, yeah.
And when I do listen to audiobooks, I much prefer the author read it.
Absolutely.
I don't care if they have a voice for it or not. I want to hear the author read it. There's just so much more emotion. That passion comes through with it.
But both of those guys are real characters, and you really they make it very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Our second question, what's your favorite tool for the farm?
You gonna go with that?
Okay, I'll start. Are we allowed to go both of them? Because can I go back and say what my favorite? I'll make it quick. My favorite book is.
Actually, you don't have to make it quick. Actually, when I said the question, I thought I didn't ask Lauren what her favorite was. And usually, I make a big deal of that, and I tell my guests, each of you have to answer, and I hadn't said that.
Yeah, I noticed that, and we weren't doing it.
No, but I can answer my favorite books. I've already mentioned Jonathan Lundgren because he's out there. He doesn't have a book yet, but I'm sure he'll write one after he does his study. But I love Breeding Sweetgrass, which is by Robin Kimmerer, and it has a lot of really beautiful indigenous history. And I feel even though I don't think I have any Native American blood, there's got to be at least a few drops in me, because I tell you something, I relate, and it resonates so beautifully with me. The stories, one of my favorite chapters in her book, and that's another one where she's reading it on the Audible app, is the honorable harvest, where she talks about, something, it goes against this whole extractive, again, industrial farming, practice that we're in. And it's like, anyway, it really resonated with me. I love that book. And I also loved, and we listened to this together on a trip, What Your Food Ate.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
I think it may not relate directly to grazing, but it really does, because they tell the history of how food used to be cultivated and how rich it was and how much healthier and tastier it was. So I love that one as well. I think it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Excellent resources. And Lauren, sorry about skipping you. I didn't.
And that's okay. Yeah. Hey, I was gonna make sure you heard me.
Well, good. I'm glad. Yeah. Our second question: what's your favorite tool for the farm?
Me first?
Yes, you go first.
I was a mechanic when I was young, and I like working on things. And I bought this tractor, and I thought it would just be fun to have a backhoe loader for a short time. It was right when we bought this farm that I bought it. And I thought, your farm doesn't need a backhoe. Anyway, 20 years later, that is my favorite. I call him the beast because he's hard to control. I seem to be the only one that can make the backhoe work. Yes. But it's like every day I have a need for that. I can't believe how much I use that tractor.
It's a big yellow John Deere. I think it looks massive. I mean, it's like the size of this apartment to me, but it's actually, the tractor itself isn't that big, but with that front end loader and the backhoe.
Oh yeah.
And he uses it all the time.
I got Lauren to drive it one time. She will never get on it again.
Not for me.
And my son, I thought, oh yeah, he'll love, what kid doesn't want to play with a backhoe? He was scared of it. He never would get on it until about, a year or two ago. I finally got him on to move something. And now that's his favorite tractor, true.
And tell him what year it is.
1975. It's a 401C is the model. So it's about 70, just almost 70 horse.
I have to throw in here that Toby is
a nice size.
Toby's being very modest. His first 20 years, after graduating with a degree in finance from the University of Florida, which he never used, he worked on vintage race cars for 20 years, including mostly Porsches and Ferraris. So he's got a lot of great stories on that.
Well, then I met Lauren, and she showed me how horses and farm life is real, and those cars are just objects.
The horses have a soul.
Horses have a soul. Those cars, they're interesting, but they have no soul.
And at some point you got into saddles.
Well, the saddles happened. We were having trouble with the horse's hooves and keeping shoes on. And so I could make a shoe with no problem. And Lauren asked me just to learn how to nail a shoe back on in case we got in a bind. And what I found was people didn't seem to know how to do it. The farrier we had wasn't doing the job very well. And so I started taking care of our horses, and then people liked what they saw and they kept asking me. And so I progressed and became a farrier. And a farrier is always studying the movement and what affects the movement. And that led to saddles. And I took my experience of all those years designing and dealing with different materials and applied it into the saddle. And that's what I got my patent on, is how a saddle carries the weight better for a horse. So that was that direction.
It's an incredible saddle. I'm a 3-day eventer also. So I'm, a horse person from way back, and I ride dressage, stadium jumping, and cross country jumping. So I run around a crazy person and jump solid jumps. And that's what I love to do. So what's my favorite tool, which you might predict? It's so funny. They're like complete opposites. My favorite tool is hay string. Hay string. Because growing up as a kid with horses, we can do, a cowgirl can do anything with some hay string.
She does anything with hay string.
I mean, you can tie gates, clothes. You can hold things up. You can do anything. And I mean, there's just so many examples, but I did just a few days ago, I was out cleaning out a big water trough for the cattle because we were about to move them to a new section. And it was full of algae and it looked really disgusting. And I thought, I got to drive all the way back to the barn to get something to scrub it with. And then I looked around and there was this hay string that had come off a great big bale of hay. So it was thick. And I looked at it and I just wound it up into a ball. And I was lucky because I did have some soap for some reason on the golf cart. But I just sprayed a little and I started scrubbing with that. That was like the best scrubby. I scrubbed the whole water trough clean with that one little piece of hay string. Yeah, I can ride my horse with hay string. I use it as a halter. I'll throw one hay string around my horse's neck and just lead him, around. So yeah, that's my favorite.
And
tool.
she fixes fences. I'll come and there'll be some fence rail broken and it'll be tied back together with hay string. Or she'll be just a little short on the reel for the poly wire. So she'll tie the hay string. So the last, few feet of it are not hot wire.
Yes.
But she can tie it to anything because it doesn't connect electricity.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Protect your little oak tree seedlings. You tie that hay string and the cows are like, ooh, don't go near that. That's going to be hot, so.
Oh, very good. Our third question, what would you tell someone just starting out?
Well, I would say take it a little slow. Don't be overly ambitious. And I know probably some people say jump in, and jumping in is important, but don't expect the results to come really fast and furious. Realize that it's going to take time. And I think this is something probably a lot of people say about grazing. Do your water infrastructure and get your fencing plan at least. Don't run out and buy 30 cows and then wonder where you're going to put them and how you're going to water them. So, which I think a lot of us do jump in and do that. So hopefully people will listen to that.
Yeah, don't overstock is what I would say. Start small and let it grow because everybody gets ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
Even when you think you're not, you find out you are.
Yeah. So easy to do. And we always think, one more cow won't hurt, but after you've done that 10 times, it's not just one cow.
Or you see some cows and you're like, oh, these are really good looking cows. Let's get them.
Yeah, exactly. And where can others find out more about you?
For us, we do have Starlight Farm Grass-Fed Beef is our Facebook page. So you have to spell all that out, Starlight Farm Grass-Fed Beef. And, we do post pictures quite a bit about just showing the farm. A lot of our friends who have nothing to do with farming love just seeing pictures of the farm. And I'm trying to teach them about how important regenerative farming is.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, the floridasoilhealth.org website is a great place. We will be involved with that. We started it with farming friends, and we will be doing that going forward. So especially folks in Florida, we would love for them to check that out.
Oh, yeah. Very good. And do we want to mention the saddle tree?
Oh, yeah. Tobias saddlery. Actually, that one's really easy. Yeah, he's got it on his cup.
That's our logo right there.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I got it right here, too.
Put that link in there, too.
Yeah, Tobias saddlery. Or you can just go to ultimatesaddle.com because it is the ultimate saddle.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm always happy to talk with people about there's a lot of misinformation in this industry. And I was lucky enough to spend some time with an old cowboy named Ray Hunt. And I was explaining my problem and he made it very simple. He didn't talk a lot, but the problem was the horse owners all seemed to think I was doing a good job. And he said, well, you're listening to the wrong animal. What does the horse think? So it changed the way I looked at things. And so as I learned more and more about saddles, I quit asking the people on how to make a saddle work. And I started asking the horse how to make the saddle work. Mm-hmm. And that's really who showed me how this is. And I'm happy to share it.
Yeah. He really does show people. He never tries to sell a saddle. I've seen him go to a farm and the lady will be like, I just want to try one of your saddles. Can I? And he's like, no, the one you have, I think I can make it work. I really can. That's a mechanic in him. But our motto with the business is listen to your horse. Your horse is going to tell you, is he comfortable? If a comfortable horse has a better mind and performs better, so. Yeah. English saddles are very different. We probably have a lot of cowboys out there who ride in a Western saddle. And the Western saddle, by definition, spreads your weight across a big area. So what he did is he took, for his patent, he took that same thinking to enlarge the area where the rider's weight is covered. And it brings tremendous comfort to the horse.
Yeah. Yeah. Create the same thing like the bar does in a Western saddle. English saddles didn't have that. So I created that in the saddle.
Yeah. I haven't upgraded enough to get to an English saddle. So
I didn't think about that either. But the first time I rode in a saddle that actually worked, I never rode in the Western saddle I had again.
Oh, yes.
I could not make that one work as good as the dressage saddle I was riding in.
Oh, interesting.
And now I'm not saying you can't. You have a Western saddle. Western saddles are fabulous, but they don't have adjustability. And the one I had at that time, I couldn't make work on the horse that I had.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not trying to diss Western at all. They're fabulous saddles. When they're right, they're right. But if you want some advice on that, wood tree, rawhide covered wood tree. Don't get a plastic tree or a fiberglass tree.
Yeah.
The old style, the traditional, they're awesome.
And I actually used to live across the street from one of the biggest cattle ranches in Florida, Parton family, Hart Bar. They raise Brahma cattle. And I rode Western for years and years. And then when I went kind of back to riding English, it does feel very different, but a good dressage saddle fitted to your horse, you can ride all day in that saddle. It's a lot like a Western saddle. It's very comfortable. Your leg falls straight down, and you can do long trotting for hours in a good dressage saddle.
Just can't dally.
Cannot rope a camel with that one, though.
You can roam, you just can't dally.
That's right.
Can't dally.
Hold that cow with your hands.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to do that very many times.
No, you do that once.
Yeah. Before we wrap up for today, do you all have a question for me?
Yes, I have a question for you. We want to expand into sheep.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
And we actually visited a sheep farm yesterday. We just brought some milk back from it, and we got some soap. And I mean, sheep are just so beautiful, but everybody warns about how tough they are. So going from cattle
and how they all just suck up the parasites and just load them with them.
The fencing and the parasites are the biggest two issues. And, we got sheep, and I thought they were miniature cattle, and I was proven they're not. And it was a steep learning curve. And I hear people say, oh, there's so much work. The sheep, outside of a couple of issues, are really easy, in my opinion. You got to get the fencing down. How are you going to fence them? For us, we've added barbed wires to our perimeter fence so they can't get out that way. And that needs done before you bring fish. I don't even know where that came from. Before you bring sheep home, because kind of like what you talked about cattle, having stuff ready. If they get out there, they are going to remember they got out there. So you need your infrastructure in place. And then I'm using netting when I move mine. I have not got them trained to a single wire. So the main flock is not moved like I should move it, and I really need to because parasites. And that's
what about, have you tried the posts, the step-in posts? And by the way, we do love Gallagher. I know that as a constant fight over, is it Premier, is it Gallagher, is it somebody else, right? But the white posts that have a bunch of different, we do use those with our chickens.
Pigtails with us.
I wonder if that would work with 2 or 3 strands, because I got to tell you, the netting drove us crazy.
Oh,
we just, it's so hard with our grass. It's so hard to get it to not ground out.
Yeah. I was talking with Roger Savory, like 15 years ago, and
his son,
and he was telling me that because he was saying, no, you don't want cows, you want goats. Goats are so much better. But he said, I told him I couldn't keep goats in. And he said, just put some tin cans or cups on your electric fence and put a little molasses in each cup, because they'll stop to lick the molasses and they'll get shocked. Otherwise, they just run right through the fence.
Oh, yeah.
I've never tried it, but I always thought, well, would sheep do that? Would sheep stop to lick the molasses and then learn the fence is hot?
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. Just going on the goat theme just a little bit, I saw, I think as a YouTube video, a guy put chains around his goat's necks, like for a tag or something. And because of that chain, they're more apt to hit that hot wire and get shocked.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
So they stay away from that. For the sheep, I have step-in posts, O'Brien step-in posts that I could do multiple strands on. I also have some of those Gallagher ringtails that have the multiple wires that I thought, well, I would use that with that. I've also gone a step further and got a Kiwi Tech 3-wire geared reel, so I could do it. But
wow, I bet that's a time saver once you figure the heck out how to use it.
I haven't used it. I bought it and got it all together.
I can't imagine the bird nest in that one.
Yeah, right.
And I haven't done anything with it. So I need to get on that so we can manage the rotation, because without managing the rotation better, you deal with parasite loads.
Right. How many sheep do you have?
We have 100, 125 ewes.
Oh my. Oh, that's quite a few.
And then I've got a half dozen lambs that I'm going to process, and I'm moving them with goats in the netting. So, and that works good. But the netting, the goats do not make money. They don't. If I figured it from how much I'm making from what I'm doing, moving that netting for those few goats, and even with these rams, it's not feasible for someone to do. I like the goats. I like what they're doing. I have to look beyond monetary returns to make it work for me. But right now I'm willing to do it. At some point in my life, I might not be wanting to, but at this point I'm willing to do it. And I wouldn't mind getting a few more goats, but they're a whole different issue.
One of the things we've Toby always talks about when we're in the woods, he's like, man, if we just had some goats, they do all the clearing for us, but then I'm thinking, you got to fence them in, you got to give them water. Goats, you have to have shelter, or they like to climb. I mean, I think that's, there's a lot of things you have to plan for if you're going to do that.
With the woods, the goats are shoved out there without any shelter except the trees. And for using the netting's a pain, but then you're able to walk through the woods. You get grass growing up in there. It just makes a big difference. Watering for sheep or for goat is so much easier than watering for cattle, because to have portable pens for sheep and goats. So I move them. I'm just watering out of some old protein tubs and hauling it in an IBC tub up there and watering them.
Do you have any kind of herd protection? I can't think of the...
I have two, with the main flock, I have 2 dogs, I have a donkey, and I have a llama. With this small flock that's in the netting, I have 2 puppies in with them. So they'll grow up with them. I was not going to put both puppies up there, but I couldn't keep one of them from coming to the house. And then they're litter mates, and they could not stand to be away from each other, but they fight like siblings, which they are, when they're together. I'm like, guys, quit.
You know something, Cal, you may have already done this, but I tell you, I would love to hear a podcast with somebody who really knows about those livestock guardian dogs. Have you got any that you've already done? Because I would totally listen to some of that, because I think it's a whole area that a lot of us we do have donkeys with our cows.
Oh, yeah.
But, we know that if we're going to do more chickens or definitely sheep where we are, we definitely have coyotes and all kinds of stuff. So, and even just wild dogs that get loose and jump into your pasture. So I would love to learn more about that.
Yeah, and the setup, it seems like there's lots of different philosophies with them. But that's a good point, Lauren. I have not had someone on, and we just talked about livestock guardian dogs, what they do, their procedure to get them ready, what they do to train them. Do they kick them out? Do they do some training? How's that done? So that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I'd listen to that one too, for sure.
That and Jonathan Lundgren.
I've got him on my list too. So on the topic of sheep, I think everyone who's running beef cattle should have a few sheep. Now, whether or not you can get your infrastructure, there's a little bit of management that's different, like the parasites.
That's what Will Harris says.
That's what Will Harris says.
He claims that it really is like a dead end for the parasites going both ways,
Yeah, there's benefits to grazing your grass with cattle after you've ran the sheep through there. And those cattle eat the parasites, it's not going to be a problem. But if you brought the sheep back, it could be a problem.
Right.
Depending on your timing, etc. Yeah.
Well, hopefully in the next couple of years, you'll hear we have some sheep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
And
that's our goal.
My other advice with sheep, because parasites are a problem, do not start with high-price animals. Get some lower-cost animals that are healthy from your area and learn with them. Because if you see one sick, you have to take care of it immediately. You won't get another chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the guy yesterday was telling us. He had one that was off to the side.
Yeah. If you don't take care of it right then, when you come back later, it's probably going to be too late. So
yeah.
That's the big negative with the parasites and getting that under control. But with rotational grazing, selecting the right breeding stock, that stuff can be overcame.
Yeah. Well, we definitely have some folks around here that have them. So we got some networking we need to do before we jump in.
Yeah. So find a breeder who's doing what you're wanting to do with them. So find someone who's rotating them, someone who's not using dewormer as a rule. Like for ours, if I have to deworm them, they get an ear notch in the end of their ear. And when I sell animals, they get sold. So you want someone who's working towards a very low maintenance on that deworming portion that can handle that parasite load without needing dewormed.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Great advice for cattle too. We're working on that too.
It is. Yeah. Lauren and Toby, I so appreciate y'all coming on and sharing with us today.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you for having us. We really did. And we love your podcast. We'll keep listening and keep watching because we learn so much every time. I do want to say before we go, I listened to, I've forgotten her name, the woman who talked about running the cattle on 8,000 acres out west, I think in Wyoming. Where is that intuitive or integrated?
Yes.
That was so fascinating. And I love it because it's a complete opposite of what we do here. But it was like going to another world with her. It was just beautiful. I loved her story.
I want to go see it done. I want to go see herds that are managed this way. Bob Kinford, Ricky Kramer, they're doing it. It's so interesting to me. And like you said, it's so foreign to me. It's not what we do around here. Now, I say that. There's some bigger ranches not too far from me that utilize some of that because they've got some big enough land area. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I would love to go ride with them, even though we're not going to apply that on our 108-acre farm.
Yeah. Right, yeah. It would be interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and all the best to you this fall as we are all planting our fall cool season cover crops.
Right, yes. Well, thank you all. For this episode, really glad Lauren and Toby came on to share about what they're doing in Florida. And this is not that important, but really exciting to me to have someone on from Florida as we continue with our diverse guests throughout the nation, throughout the world. And I think for the 50 states, we're closing in on having most of them have having a guest from most of the states. I know we're struggling probably with a few New England states and still don't have anyone from Alaska or Hawaii. I need to look into that and update our maps and see where we are on that, and I'll get back to you on it. Really excited about the Florida Soil Health Coalition. And I can't say Floridians. I just couldn't say it when we recorded the episode. Anyway, if you're in that area, check out what they're doing. Join them, support them, help them. It's always exciting as we can get more people in this grazing grass movement. So support them all you can. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Grazing Grass Podcast, where we bring you stories and insights into grass-based livestock production. If you're new here, we've got something just for you. Our new listener resource guide is packed with everything you need to get started on your listening journey with the Grazing Grass Podcast. It gives you more information about the podcast, about myself, and next steps. You can grab your free copy at grazinggrass.com/guide. Don't miss out. And hey, do you have a grazing story to share? We're always looking for passionate producers to feature on the show. Whether you're just starting out or have years of experience, your story matters. Head over to grazinggrass.com/guest to learn more and apply to be a guest. We'd love to share your journey with our growing community of grazers. Until next time, keep on grazing grass.